Welcome to the Print Political Adda. Yesterday, the National Liberation Front of Tripura and the All Tripura Tiger Force, two insurgent outfits which used to advocate secession from India, signed a memorandum of settlement with the Indian government and the Tripura government. The deal was largely under the wraps till the last minute, and very few people knew about it. Among the people who had some idea about the deal is Tipra Motha founder Pradyot Kishore Manikya, who is joined us for this discussion. So, before we go into the significance of the settlement or the deal, if you can tell us when exactly the talk started and where.
No, it's been a long time in the running. All I can say is that this did not happen this year. It did not happen last year. It's been before that. There has been a lot of initiations. At some point, I intervened as well, and it's a collective effort. I must applaud the officials whose names have not come out. I think they paid a heavy price because at some point it was a very uncomfortable thing for everyone to do, including me, because we had no official mandate. It was all as you would see in movies, but in the end, we had to trust each other, even if it was not an official trail or official communication. We had to trust each other that if we want to bring in normalcy in our part of the world, if we want to bring our own citizens back to the country, then peace is the only option, and violence can never get you what you seek for. So, this, let me say it in as much terms as I can say, because many things cannot be openly spoken. This definitely was one of the longest backroom negotiations and one of the most tense and nerve wracking negotiations that I've personally gone through. There were times when we thought that this will not happen. There were times when communications broken, but we were patient, we were calm, most importantly, and we made all sides realize that we only want to help our country and we only want to help our people come to mainstream.
So, what is the guarantee that this time around the peace agreement that has been signed will hold? Because if you remember, with NLFT, peace agreement was signed in 2019. With ATTF, the peace agreement was signed in 1993. But after that, I mean, the problem continued.
See, again, agreements were signed, but they were with the splinter groups. You're talking about the Subir group, which signed in 2017, 1993 as well. There was an agreement signed between the state and the state government and the ATTF. But this time around, you have the key main players: Bishu Mohan Debbarma, he's the chairman. You have Upendra Riang, who's a Secretary General. You have, we call him Bomtom, he's the Chief of Army. Of course, we call him Bomtom in our way, but then he's Mr. Jamatia, he's the Chief of Army. You've got people like Omthai, Jacob Rankhol. These are people who are key decision makers. Some who are actually in jail, who will be released after due diligence of cases, or some will be out on bail. And these three again, they have signed from the NLFT, and they are the main actors in this entire operation. Uh, Again, will this bring an end to insurgency? I'm not a soothsayer, but then is this something which should, if implemented on the ground, should help alleviate the era of violence in Tripura and Northeast? I hope so. Many of our young boys and girls who have picked up the path of violence, arms, have done so out of frustration. Frustration from what? Frustration from lack of uh, opportunities, uh, constitutional rights, land rights. There have been times when the tribals have felt that they've been oppressed when it comes to language. So I do feel that if the government of India can address these problems, which is systemic rather than individualistic, then why will any Tiprasa pick up guns and fight against his own country or her own country?
Since yesterday, many in Tripura are arguing that these insurgent groups were largely defanged over the last few years, and they were largely dysfunctional. They were not really carrying out insurgent activities. So, what was the immediate need for this peace settlement to bring them to the mainstream and, in a way, not put them on trial for the crimes that they committed?
Whoever is saying that, they are either very foolish people or they are people who have vested interest. A fire has to be put out. If you leave a fire lingering, even a small spark can result in burning down an entire forest. Today, they may have been weakened, but there are enough instances in world history where if you do not solve a problem, it over the years can snowball into a bigger and a larger issue. Today, when people are ready to come and live a life of peace and have a talk, why not talk to them? Or do you want to bully them, beat them up, and make an example out of them? And then others will not come. So, I think what the government of India has taken this step is the right step. You have put out the fire. If you had left the fire burning somewhere, tomorrow that could have lingered on and made a big impact. Let's also be very clear that what is happening in Bangladesh today is in future may create a lot of turmoil in the northeast and in India.
So, you feel they had enough weapons and arms and ammunition to
Weapons
create
and
unrest?
arms can always be purchased. India does not need to make any more enemies. We have enough within the neighborhood. And I don't think it is apt for India to allow its own citizens to wage a war against its own country. There are enough elements who are ready to provoke and entice our youth for whatever reasons to wage a war against their own country. So I think it is the right thing that we have had a peace negotiation and the right thing that they have come to mainstream. And whoever says that we should have put them in trial, we are not, this is not Nazi Germany. This is not Bangladesh where you are giving ultimatum to people in 90 minutes to leave the country or to surrender. This is a fully fledged democracy. And in democracy, whether it was under Rajiv Gandhi's time, when the MNF Accord was signed, when the TNV Accord was signed, when the Punjab Accord was signed, when the Assam Accord was signed, or right now, I think dialogue is the best way for our region to go ahead.
So, where does it take the demand of Tipra Motha for greater Tipraland?
It is there, it will remain. We are not linking up the surrender of or the peace talk of NLFT or ATTF with our demand of greater Tipraland. As long as in the Constitution of India there is a demand within the Constitution of India for a separate state, whether it is greater Tipraland, which I am demanding and I continue to demand it, whether it is Bundelkhand, whether it is Harid Pradesh, whether it is Gorkhaland, that demand is there. And that demand will very much remain because the Constitution of India allows us the right to ask for that. Once the Constitution of India, suppose tomorrow the Constitution of India says that the tribals of Tripura have no right to demand for Tipraland, then of course I will not. But as long as it's written in the Constitution of India, I feel that that is the best way ahead. Now, if the government of India comes and says, no, Pradyot, right now we cannot give you greater Tipraland, but this is what we can give. Fine, give it to me in writing. Let me go to my people. Give us land rights today. Give us direct funding today. Give us more political representation today. Give our language the due credit under the 8th schedule of Kokborok or Kaupru, whatever, Kokti Prasa, if you want to say that. These are all things which we will negotiate. But I will negotiate with my position of greater Tipraland. If you can talk to people with guns, why can't you talk to people who are demanding something very much within the Constitution of India?
Did you broach the subject?
I will
with the
keep
Home
on
Minister?
broaching it. I will keep on broaching it. Today BJP is there. Tomorrow it may be Janata Dal. Day after it may be Congress. What is my position is my position, and I will not dilute my position. Did BJP give up its demand for Ram Mandir or Article 370? They were in government with different parties. When they were with PDP, they did not do that. When they were in Vajpayee era of coalition, they did not raise the issue of Ram Mandir because it was in the common minimum program. But the issue, they kept it alive. I have my issue, I'll keep it alive. That's my view.
Yesterday, after the deal was signed, Upendra Yang, he came out and told reporters that, the deal has been signed, but let's see how things unfold. So he left. I mean, it seems the many are arguing that this marks the end of insurgency, that chapter is over. But when he says, let's see how things unfold, what does he mean?
He means that it is very much in his right to see if both parties are sincere or not. He has not said that he'll pick up the gun and go back to Bangladesh. He also said in his initial remarks when we were there with the Home Minister, he thanked the government of India, and he said that we have full hope that the government of India will implement whatever has been promised to them. Let's see how it unfolds. I can say the same thing. Let's see how my Tiprasa Accord unfolds. Does that mean that I will become violent and pick up arms against India? No. But I have every right to disagree with my government. I think Print, which is a media house, also has articles which disagrees with the government of India or their approach. That is a right in democracy to disagree.
But he's not taking up arms.
Why would anyone announce it in television that they will pick up arms? That would be very foolish. He was not. He's a very intelligent man. He will not. He said that let's see how it unfolds. Means let's see how soon the implementation of this project unfolds. He's waiting and watching. Same here.
So, in the talks, what exactly was your role? Were you the mediator?
I play the role of a bridge. If there is a misunderstanding, I play the role of removing that gap of distrust. My father, my mother were nationalists. My mother is a nationalist. We love our country. My grandmothers merged the whole of Tripura into India. So the government of India should not question my patriotism. We have actually given up our entire authority to the government of India because we wanted to be a part of the Indian Union. So our patriotism cannot be questioned. On the other hand, amongst the Tiprasa people, they also know that my love and my commitment for my Tiprasa people is absolutely unquestionable. So that gap of trust and bridge has to be alleviated. So my job was to ensure that messages were taken on both sides. If there was a stalemate, if there was a log jam, I would intervene. If there was a disagreement, you would try to explain to both sides that this is what they mean. Nobody means any harm, but when we don't communicate, when there is a gap in thinking, when there is a misunderstanding in backgrounds, it is very difficult to for someone from New Delhi to understand how a Tiprasa feels. So it's very difficult for someone from Agartala to find out how a person outside Agartala feels. The urban-rural divide. Here we are talking about a Tiprasa and someone sitting in Delhi. So it was very important that we saw both sides and tried to rationalize. So my job was to make sure that this agreement takes place honorably. Now implementation is something which is completely up to the government of India, and that's why when Upendra says let's see how it unfolds, we also expect that this commitment is followed through, and I am in agreement with him when he says that.
And how long did the back channel
I'm
talk
not
was-
privy to say all that, but let me say more than a few years.
has been going on? So there would have been a lot of back and forth also.
Yes, absolutely. Can't say many things, but as I said, there are other people, officials, can't take the names without a thing, but they have really worked hard. Many people, there are some people who've actually gone across the border. Some people came overground, spoke here in Delhi, went back, and the government of India also was very cooperative, and especially the IB and the Home Ministry, where they trusted that they would come back, talk, and then go back again. A safe passage was given. All this takes time, takes trust. and that was all insured. So that is, it's, as I said, it's been exhausting to say the least.
Saurabh asked this question earlier, but let me just add to it. You said that it was going on for some years now, but the turmoil in Bangladesh, did it in some way expedite it?
No, no. Of course, the urgency to sign the agreement does, because we don't want to leave any loose ends. And I've been saying this. In fact, Print, probably, if you take some of your interviews, which has happened, Print actually is one of the first media houses where I've said, much before Sheikh Hasina was moved out, maybe 5 or 6 months before that, I said that once Sheikh Hasina goes, Bangladesh will have an anti-India sentiment, and India needs to have a plan B. I've been saying this for a very long time, and now it is very clear.
And you have spoken about it. You have tweeted also about the influx that followed post the.
Security is a big issue, and the fear of a tribal or an indigenous person is that we will be overrun by people from Bangladesh. And the government of India needs to protect us by ensuring that we have land rights. Even today, after so many years, even our council, the TTADC, which is the 6th Scheduled Area Council, we do not have any authority over land. And if we cannot give land, which is a basic requirement of a indigenous tribal who's been living in that area for centuries, we cannot even provide them a patta, then why are we here? So these are questions which the government of India needs to understand. They need to transfer these things to us. They've done it in Meghalaya, they've done it in Bodoland. Why can't they do it in Tripura?
Also, I mean, not only Tripura, I mean, you have been working with the indigenous communities for long. If you see the Northeast, I mean, you have so many indigenous communities in other states also.
Yeah.
And where there is right now a risk, I mean, their hold over the land, their culture, the social mores, they're all, I mean, in some way or the other, there is a challenge to all that. So, how do you see that?
That's because, see, there are certain elements which are very exploitative. Today, most of your minerals, whether it is gas, coal, limestone, stones, oil, tea, they're all extracted, iron ore, they're all extracted from our tribal lands. Right? Who extracts them? Big industries, big companies. They make thousands of crores from that. What is the share which comes to the tribals, which give their land, sometimes forcefully, reluctantly? What is the share which comes to the tribal who gives away their land for coal mines, for limestones, for gas, for oil, for tea, for iron ore? How much money does a tribal make there? Do the children go to a good school? Do the parents get proper health care? No, they don't get anything. But these elements are making thousands of crores from our land. And we are not saying don't do it. National interest hai, chahiye. At least give us some fair amount of money so we can have a life of dignity. But what is happening? You come and you give one group 500 rupees and you say you fight with another person. They have kept us poor. There is a system which keeps the tribals poor, so that if we are poor, I will fight with you, you will fight with me. This is a classic game of keeping people poor, because if you are poor, you can divide people by giving some money. I've never seen a Ambani or a Tata or a Adani fight. I never see Parsis ever fighting with each other, or Marwadis fighting with each other, or Gujaratis fighting with each other. I don't see the Jews ever having conflict with each other. They are all wealthy communities, and rightfully so. They have made money. They are very well off. Which are the communities which are always constantly at war? There is division, there is violence. The rural population in Bengal, very poor. The tribals of the Northeast, very poor. The Africans in Africa, extremely poor. They are all divided. They are all divided because it's easy to divide the poor, and the rich will always remain united. So today, when I'm asking for certain protection, land rights, I'm saying that give us land rights, and if somebody wants to come and take our resources, we should be made stakeholders. We are not here to extort. But we are here to ask what is constitutionally ours, our right. Royalty is a right. Land royalty, mineral royalty is a right. So if you're going to take all our resources, we should be made stakeholders so we can improve our lives. But that has not happened. That's why you have naxalism. That's why you have insurgency. That's why you have violence. People feel that violence, when you're poor and you cannot articulate your view, you resort to violence. Sometimes there are vested interests which creates violence. So these are deeper issues, and I hope that media, independent media like yours, very few media is independent. Most of the media is controlled by mining lobbies now. Some whose name I've mentioned. People like you all should highlight this because I think the youth of this country should realize that there is a larger game at play which needs to be addressed and stopped as soon as possible.
I'll just take a couple of questions from our viewers that we have received over the last 2 days. First question from Karthik Prashar. He wants to know about Manipur. The violence has been going on for over a year now. So, what do you think can be done to put an end to this now?
I think the best way to end the violence to Manipur is to rebuild trust. I think the people in Manipur have answered in the Lok Sabha election both ways, that they are unhappy with the state administration. The person on top of the state administration should also reconsider and think, and as all good leaders should do, I think some sanity should prevail, and a third party mediation should take place. The third party need not be from Northeast, it could be from Delhi. But for the third party negotiation to take place, the people who are at the helm of affairs need to step aside. So I think that is the best way to
So,
address
essentially
it.
saying CM Biren Singh should resign, make
I'm not
way
saying
for
that,
someone else.
but if I'm saying that, then you can read between the lines. All I'm saying is he should not be involved in the negotiation between the Cookies and the Maitais.
Since he's lost trust.
Bring in, because he lost the trust of Cookies. Bring in another Maitai who the Cookies trust, and the Maitais will also feel that they are not giving away everything to the Cookies. Bring in another sober, rational Maitai who will be a part of the dialogue process. Biren Singh can remain the chief minister. He need not be involved in the peace process. And the government of India, under the Home Ministry, can have a three-way dialogue. And the representative from the state should be someone who understands the problems of the Maitais as well as understands the anger of the Cookies, and together can work out on a reconciliation.
I can.
I'm being very honest about it.
Right. Karthik also wants to know what kind of vision do you have for Tripura and how do you plan to develop the state?
I plan to develop the state first by ensuring that we have economic viability. Today, I'll give you an example in my council. I have got 13,000 employees who are working inside the council. And my biggest failure, and I'm saying it on camera, people say it off camera, I'll say it on camera. My biggest failure is when a young educated boy and girl who is a MSc, MA, BA pass comes to us and asks for job, we can't, because we have already peaked on the employees that we have, which were not employed by me, which were employed during the CPM regime, some because they were their cousins, their nephews. So the most important thing is to create job creation, entrepreneurship, to actually help people economize their assets. Today, most people cannot get loans because they don't own land papers. So today, if anyone wants to start even a small eatery, or let's say wants to take a loan from a bank, the basic requirements of a land ownership is not there. But they've been living in that land for 150, 200, 500 years. So land ownership is one issue. Linkages is one issue. I think the government of India needs to promote tourism. I think the government of India needs to promote entrepreneurship. I think we need to do skill building. What's happened is that we have not been skilled enough. So in terms of language, today someone from Tripura cannot get a job as easily in any service or hospitality sector because we have not been trained to speak in English, and that's a prerequisite in the hospitality or service sector. We are very competent, we are very good, but we do not have the skilling required, because for no fault of theirs, there was no proper English education in school. So we need skilling. We need to identify nursing in a paramedical center. There is a huge requirement of nurses. Weaving, one of the best weavers are women, one of the finest. But the cloth that we give them, the dye that we give them, are of inadequate quality. If we can leverage that and have a buyback policy, if we can have MSP for farmers, why can't we have MSP and buyback for all the weaving that our women do, and then tie up with enough Fab India is there. There's so many other Amazon, and then highlight our fabric outside. There is a market for it, not only in nationally, internationally. Food processing is another area that we want to go into, but we need to create economic development, and the only way we can do economic development is if we politicians stop doing politics for 5 years. Before elections, do your politics, but for the 4.5 years at least try to develop the state, because if the state develops, you will develop yourself.
How do you rate the BJP government in the state?
Any government, if you rate any government in Tripura after CPM, it'll be great. But then that should not be a yardstick. That's all I'll say.
In Tripura, formations like Tripura Motha, IPFT, for instance, they had joined hands with BJP, and
I joined it after elections,
after
being 1 year in the opposition.
Yeah. So there is a fear that after joining hands with BJP, their tribal base. There's a fear that might erode. So is there a similar fear for Tipra Motha as well?
No, if the leader is there and the leader is committed, your base will not go. If the leader, suppose tomorrow I am no longer the leader of Tipra Motha, and let's say somebody else comes, then that person has to take a call. What is more important, your community, or your community's interest, or your personal position? So it all depends on the leader. Today, Rahul Gandhi is there in Congress. You know that he has a certain view of the Congress party, and you cannot take him away. So as long as Rahul Gandhi is in the Congress, there will be a strong base and nobody can finish the Congress. Somebody else comes who does not hold the same values, who does not have leadership skills, Congress will collapse. Same thing with BJP. Today, Modi ji is there, so BJP is seen as a strong party. Tomorrow, we don't know if he is no longer there. At some point, he will eventually leave. Whoever comes at that time, if the person does not think about its interest, its own cadre interest, its own party interest, its own community interest, then the party will collapse. So it all depends on leaders. In my case, I am not as much a politician because of my background. I feel scared. If I take a wrong step, how will my ancestors judge me? If I do something wrong, what will my mother think of me? What will my aunt think of me? What will my people, who we have been associated for 1,000 years? Our family has been very long standing. So I fear कि if I take a bad step, what will people say, that oh, so and so's Bir Bikram ka grandson is doing such a bad thing. Kirit Bikram's son has become corrupted. So I am scared of spoiling my name. And if you are scared of not spoiling your name, then you will not take decisions which will sell your people off. So my motivation is not money. My motivation is good name.
So you have a unique model where you are working for the cause of the community. You are the face. You have been working for this peace accord as well. But when it comes to entering the electoral fray, you have.
I'm elected. I won from Takarjala, Jampujala. I'm elected MDC. I'm elected. But the point was
in the assembly.
See, I'll tell you, even Lok Sabha assembly, even when I won the ADC, this is the first time I'm saying it, because I'm very fond of Shekhar Gupta, so I'll only say this to print. In ADC, I could have become a CM. But then I thought that if I became the CM, then I'm not giving somebody else a chance. Somebody who's from a very humble background should be given a chance, and we should back the individual because it sends a larger message. So did that. In the assembly, I could have fought, probably could have become a minister right now as well. But then I thought that if I campaigned rather than standing, and if I campaign all over Tripura, it will help galvanize our people. And if I stood, then I would be stuck in a certain place. And frankly, I don't need to be a minister. I have enough. But if I could show that I can sacrifice my personal ambition for the people's cause, it would make sense. Lok Sabha, they'll say, why did you give it to your sister? But the fact is that I needed at that moment to send a message that if somebody else came, Tipra Motha's position would have been diluted. So this was a joint candidate. But the fact is that I know my sister has the same thinking like me, that she is Bir Bikram's granddaughter, Kirit Bikram's daughter. So she will also think 10 times before she does something which will hurt the interest of our people. So most important thing was, so I sacrificed that also. Now, when you ask me this question, there's no elections in sight. 2028 is the next election. So I'm thinking that, wow, my political career has plateaued. But maybe my political career has plateaued. That's why I
You
can
have a change of heart in the next assembly election.
It's too long to say, but my main thing is everybody looks for some salvation. Everybody looks for a nirvana, right? A moksha. If I can give something to my people and then walk away, that would be the greatest exit ever. So for me, achieving a good name is more important than achieving a post. I need to have that legacy, a good name. You know that ये लड़का ने अपने लोगों के लिए कुछ किया, माँ बाप ने घर दिया, पैसा दिया, लेकिन नाम खुद कमाना पड़ता है. So I want to, मैं नाम कमाना चाहता हूँ, पैसा नहीं.
Since you mentioned the East Tripura MP, your sister, of late she faced some criticism in the local media about her absence from the state during the unprecedented floods. So, how do you see that?
See, the funny part is that as we speak, she's still touring the state. She's the only MP which has been to all the districts. The other BJP MP, Biplab Deb, is in Haryana. He came for a couple of days, but then he went back to Haryana. My sister has been there in all the districts. As of now, she's in Unnakoti district. She's traveled between to 3 districts herself. There was a criticism that where was I? Now they've kept quiet. Because as I always say, Saurav, I am the fall guy for certain people in Agartala media. Even if I do anything right, they will not like me because they don't like me not for what I do. They don't like me because I speak up for my tribal people. So if somebody does one thing, they will praise that individual. If I do 100 things, they will not like me because I am an aggressive person who speaks for tribal people. They feel uncomfortable when I speak up for my tribal people, my indigenous people. But the more they criticize me or the more they criticize anyone, the stronger I get in my tribal base. So I'm not concerned about that. My sister has gone everywhere. She's given 1 crore from her MP lad funds. I have personally, from my own pocket, spent not less than 32 lakhs, going to every family and giving money, Bengali, tribal, Hindu, Muslim, everyone who's died in this. And I'm going to go back again and do it. But if you open the newspaper in Agartala, there is no mention. We complain that nobody hears about Northeast in national media, but in Tripura media, nobody hears about what is happening in the tribal areas, ADC areas. So there is a bias, no problem. I have good people like Moshimi and you, all from Tripura, who have become bigger because you left Tripura and you came here. And today, you are the role model for people from Tripura, not those people who are sitting in Agartala and manipulating and living in their own world. So I don't care about what they write.
My final question to you: the deal which was signed yesterday also comes with a financial package of some 250 crore.
250 crores, yeah.
So how is that money going to be spent?
I think that is between the NLFT and the government of India. I have no role to play there. Whatever projects they'll give to the government of India, Home Ministry, the government will evaluate it and then accordingly have a talk with them and then disperse. Also, I think all the cadres are getting 6,000 rupees a month. I think they're getting some ration for 2 years. They'll be given security, the top leaders. They'll be given, I think, 4 lakhs fixed deposit for everyone in the bank, which they cannot take for the next 3-4 years, and then they can withdraw, but they can become a collateral. Apart from that, for projects, 250 crores. So I think it's a good package.
What kind of projects are they? As in,
That is entirely up to them. Whether they want to open schools, they want to open hospitals, they want to open market sheds, they want to open something to do with housing. It is up to them and the government of India. But 250 crores has been earmarked for special package projects between them and the government of India. I have no role to play with that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for the discussion.
From Tripura, all three of us. Yes. Thank you to everyone, and thank you for inviting me to Political Adda. You are one of the few media houses which constantly covers whether it's Cut the Clutter or National Interest, Northeast, and I'm very privileged and honored that you've called me here. It is important for rest of India to also understand what is happening in a tiny state in Northeast. We may be from a tiny state, all three of us, but nevertheless, it's a very important state because it's a part of India. Thank you.
Tripura matters. Thank you.